Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Aniagolu, and this wouldn't be Prime Time without our guest analysts to give us their take on nearly all the news and issues of the day. And with me till the end of the program are the public policy analyst, Abba, Kaka, and the development expert and business and economic analyst, Dr. Raimi. Thank you very much indeed to both of you for coming in.
Thank you, Charles.
And let me start with you because you're an economist. And we just got off talking to another economist. So let's just get your take very briefly, because I think people have had enough of discussing those figures for a while. They want to move to more interesting, more tabloidy things. You see what I mean? But let's look at the economy. Stark warnings as yet unheeded that Nigeria is getting to the point that it simply can't sustain, for instance, the money that government officials spend on themselves. What is your assessment of the state of the economy under the Tinubu government, briefly, as an economist?
Okay, thank you, Charles. For me, our current administration, led by the President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has come up with a lot of reforms so as to bring the economy up from where it was that all of us acknowledge was not good enough. So far, the reforms are not generating the kind of expectation that we all had hoped for at this moment. But to talk of the reforms are laudable, but it will take some time for it to mature. And again, the president himself and his team, I believe, are reviewing the performance of these reforms. He also has not promised at every point. He has also said that things will improve for the better. As an economist, I also believe that.
Right.
The reforms are not bad. The reforms are good. But as of now, we have not been able to achieve the kind of goal targeted for those reforms. And I believe it will come to pass.
Let me come to you, Abba Kaka, because, I mean, there's got to be a new, deliberate, more austere ethos of government. I mean, you can't be living large and be telling everyone else to grovel and tighten their belt. There's got to be a more austere ethos of government where there is much less razzmatazz, and the emphasis has to be on cost cutting for everybody. So resizing of government and its expenditure are vital in terms of where this country is going. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, actually, the way we are going right now, as you said, bloated government and without finances. We are borrowing almost every month now. Just now, there's a bill at the National Assembly to borrow $2.2 billion.
We're living on our borrowings, basically.
We can't,
a lot of it.
We can't continue to borrow and get out of the problems we're in. First, I would like the government, from what the indication of the economists are talking about, for the IMF policies to be rejected outright.
Well, they made it clear that Nigeria is not actually adopting directly IMF policy. But if you go to them to collect money, then they'll set conditions.
They'll set conditions. The other day, our World Bank vice president said that reform that we have has to be sustained to the next 10 to 15 years. Right now, these reforms have pushed a lot of millions of Nigerians into poverty. More than half the country is suffering. The purchasing power is nowhere. Inflation, as a businessman, I cannot plan right now because every week before, every month, now it has become every day prices are changing. Inflation is going out of control. We need to go back to, we have fine economists in this country, fine brains all over.
So homegrown
economics is what I call for.
Let's move on from that to, as I said, the more tabloidy things. I mean, what do you make of the? I mean, I always say this. You were one of the big supporters of President Tinubu during. I mean, you campaigned for him.
Yeah.
I think you were a member of his campaign council.
Yes, I was Deputy Director of Community Relations for the presidential election, covering a whole of Oyo State.
And interestingly, instead of giving you an appointment, he's given it to Daniel Bwala. And I'm trying to figure out what on earth is going on there, but certainly what your reaction is, because, I mean, some say that Daniel Bwala made an absolute about face the minute it became clear that Atiku Abubakar and the PDP had lost the presidential election, and now he's Tinubu's spokesman and is pontificating on the president's behalf. I mean, does that rub you up the wrong way, as it does many Nigerians?
Thank you, Charles. I think I represent one of those who truly will feel a bit agitated, concerned that we haven't actually have an appointment to contribute value, not because just that we supported our president or I'm a member of APC, but because of the competence and capability that we also have to contribute to solving many of the problems, economic problems, social problems, you know, planning and all that that we've been talking about. So I would naturally, of course, I cover 11 local governments in Oyo State for the president, the governor, and all of the people that are candidate during the 2023 election.
And he doesn't care, does he?
No, he does. He does. So, but what I have found out this time, what I've found out from an objective perspective, is that three things may be happening, which is maybe what the president is trying to apply. One is trying to apply an inclusive government, in which so all of us also support. If you have something to contribute to solving Nigeria problems, to serve during in his administration, I believe he's trying to woo such people. Two, he may have reserved certain percentage or maybe a greater percentage for people that are party men of our party, APC, a percentage for those that are in other political party, a percentage for those that are outside our politics, maybe technocrat and all that. So what I can ask for now is that for myself, I could appeal to myself and many of us that are concerned like that, to be a bit patient. I don't think the door to appointment to contribute and serve
So you're still hopeful that you get a job?
Hopeful. Of course, you know, the mantra of our president is renew hope. We can't lose hope. And that's also why I'm also motivated.
Well, let me come to you, Abba Kaka, because, I mean, he talked about the potential, I mean, he's purely speculating. He's suggesting that the president might be trying to create some kind of inclusive government. The argument would be made that, yes, inclusive government, you know, Bianca Ono from Abga party and so on, yes, that was a good one, you know, but to turn to someone whose public pronouncements were, I mean, absolutely, verifiably and vitriolically against this government and against the president, and now he's become a rabid turncoat, and that he's going to have trust and integrity issues with the public, which may in fact affect the president himself.
Absolutely. Actually, inclusive government, there's nothing wrong with that. But the issue of trust, integrity, loyalty, transparency, morality, those are very, very important in any individual you want to appoint. He worked for the president, as he said. He suffered. A lot of others are neglected. You understand? What is the reason? Daniel Bwala, personally speaking, I will not believe anything from him. So how is he now going to communicate government policy and government achievements to people like us and others? Millions of Nigerians will be asking. Just like my friend, the barrister Nesoko, who was here last time, said it. There was a viral video going on that people were stabbed in the back.
Okay, you're talking about Onokbasa. Just Tega.
Yeah, Just Tega.
Yes.
Mr. Just Tega. And he went and worked for the president, just like he did and so many other people did. Why somebody's character is under question, like Bwala, will be brought in to speak. If you want to give him an appointment, fine and good. but not as the spokesperson for this president. He has called this president names. He has called this government whatever he would call them. How in the world will you trust some? I cannot trust him, personally speaking. That's my own personal take. But the president has the right to appoint whoever he wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's, that said, this is issue of loyalty. Well, let's see what happens towards the end of the term.
Absolutely. But why do you think, because you are a politician, I mean, in addition to being an economist, why do you think Nigerian politicians have such difficulty staying away from power? I mean, staying away from the sort of the heartbeat of power. You see what I mean? Because, I mean, many of them ready to switch sides no matter how sort of immoral, he used the word immoral, or unprincipled it looks. I mean, if it will bring them closer to that orbit of power.
Yeah, I think that's a very important question you have asked. And over the years, I've examined this same theme. And I found, among others, that our politics in Nigeria, perhaps in many other African countries, are not issue-based. They are not principled-based. When you say a political party, there must be ideology that endear you to that political party. For me, I contested for House of Rep, since 2015. I haven't gotten any appointments since then. But I've not left politics because I know that I'm coming to serve.
It's not about leaving politics.
You understand?
It's about
I'm
leaving
saying,
your party.
my party.
I mean, what party were you in when you ran for?
Yes, also it's been dynamic because also when I contested under Social Democratic Party. And I must say this, and you will know that kind of political party has some values that we wanted to deliver. But when this did not materialize, and when politics speak local language. You have to look at, okay, where can this ambition or contribution also be eraded?
So basically you don't have any ideology either.
I do.
Because if you did, you'd stick with
even if I had
one
stayed
party.
there, even if I had stayed there, it's like an organization. If you work for an organization and your ambition to either grow that organization or yourself career growth is not achieved, nothing stop you from moving where that can be actualized. That's why I found myself in APC. Part of the problem is that most of these are political parties.
But you joined the APC after they won in 2015. No. That's when you joined. You joined after they won the presidency.
Yes, after.
And therefore you radiated towards that orbit of power. I mean, I'm not trying to judge you.
No, but even if you try to judge me, I know the value that I want to achieve. You see, it's like a professional driver. No matter how qualified you are, if you don't have a vehicle to drive, there's no way it could be believed that you are. So that is the point. So don't let's say, I think even me, I will campaign or champion the cause of 2 to 3 political parties in Nigeria.
Right.
So that all these 17, 20 political parties that we know that they are going nowhere because they don't have the structure and you want to achieve a goal. You can't achieve a goal without a structure.
Yeah, but you must have known that the SDP wasn't going anywhere when you joined.
No. Even as
so
at that time.
Advantage
No, I didn't take advantage. What really happened is that, like I said, politics speak local language.
Right.
When I contested in my
You thought you could do better on the local level.
I thought I could do better.
Okay.
I thought
well,
I
have to move
on,
and let me come to you,
so
Abba. Let's change the topic. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sort of leaping down on you from a great height.
No, we are strain issues.
Understand
and honesty is
the
important.
mentality of people.
Yeah. Honesty is very important, and that's why I have to also come open to you to let you know why there's transition.
I appreciate the fact that you were
But I'm not like every other
open.
person that will continue to jump ship just because of power. If it was only power, I would have gone out a long time ago. But because I'm a professional that have had a career of almost 20-something years before I joined politics,
well, the APC
I didn't come to
power,
politics.
So there'd be nowhere
I didn't come to politics without having something doing. That's why I'm able to continue.
Abba, Kaka, let's change the topic. What do you make of what former President Olusegun Obasanjo has been saying about the state of Nigeria, which is being interpreted by the government as some kind of undue intervention?
Well, actually, the former President Obasanjo is a nationalist, no doubt. But what I find disturbing is the fact that he trashes every administration since he left
Well,
office.
possibly because none of them are meeting the standards that very high standards that he tried to set.
Well, what are the standards? You understand? We lost $16 billion under his watch.
No,
Nigeria-
that's not
No,
an
no, no.
accurate figure.
$16 billion?
No, it's not 16. Definitely not 16 billion.
What was the figure?
I don't want to get into that argument because it'll get us off the tangent, but it was not 16 billion. The total amount they spent, you're talking about the NIPP, the National Integrated Power Project,
Exactly.
which was part of electricity. They didn't spend up to even $5 billion on it.
Former President Buhari questioned 16 billion.
No,
the
no,
current
that's
pres-
totally
the
inaccurate.
current government.
That's political.
Okay. The
Yeah.
current government also, if you have listened to Sunday Diary the other day, was also questioning we are in darkness after 16
Yeah,
billion
but that's
you know.
a political thing. Okay, if you go and
Okay,
assess,
even if
and
it's
I
five-
don't want to, sorry to interrupt you, I don't want to, because we're losing time.
Okay.
I don't want to get into it, but just very briefly.
Okay.
The National Integrated Power Project was recognized internationally as the
Yes.
biggest ongoing power project in the world.
Absolutely.
You could see it.
Yes.
Every 3 months, you could see the infrastructure growing.
Absolutely.
What happened was that they started it in 2005.
Yes.
And in electricity, it's not like a road. You don't build half a road. You don't build half a road and they use
yeah.
one half.
Yes.
If you don't have transmission, distribution, generation
Generation,
all in
all of
place, you can't do
course.
anything.
Absolutely.
So they started it in late 2005.
Right.
And it takes about 3 or 4 years to get everything in. He left office in 2007.
Yes.
Yaradua came in and stopped the job
Yes.
because there were of these allegations of
Exactly.
corruption. And they carried out investigations for several years, whilst the turbines that General Electric had built were sitting at One Port in Port Harcourt,
Yes.
rotting. And after 3 years of sitting there, they rotted.
Of course.
So there was nothing anybody, I mean, they had to, it was Jonathan who came back and revived the process
Yes, he
again.
did.
But before he could complete it, Buhari came in
Yes.
and then completely switched gears. So it's a very complicated thing. But
Let's move
let's
on.
continue with Obasanjo. Do you think he's right to criticize the current government over, for instance, the failings of the Electoral Commission, INEC, when under his government, elections were not decided by voters, but by politicians sitting in a room somewhere, and he benefited from it and failed to reform INEC at the time? Do you detect a hint of hypocrisy there, or do you agree with him that INEC has got to the point where people have to speak out and it has to be reformed, whether he did it or not?
Okay, yes. For His Excellency, our former President Obasanjo, he's someone everyone knows. He doesn't hide his feeling about what is going on. Whether that is factual, whether it's based on emotion, whether he has his own preference for the kind
Well,
of
it is
leaders he
factual.
wants.
INEC needs to be reformed.
I
mean,
even
there's
this
no
reform,
question about
let me
that.
tell you, reform is an ongoing process, Charles. Reform can never be completed at a given point in time. Remember, before 2015, we were saying we needed some reform in INEC. It happened during the last administration. We have the electoral act that even allow us to use beaver and all that. Before, we never had it before. So I believe that we have made certain gain even in this electoral process. But can it be better? Very correct. It can be better. There's every room for improvement. For President Obasanjo, I think we should not throw the baby with the
out with the bathwater.
Out with the bad water. The president, that's our current president, and his council will be looking at some of the issues, look at areas that improvement can be made. But the only thing I will also say is that our president, former president, is a member of the national, there's a platform whereby former president and those who have been at that, they meet.
Yeah, Council of State.
Council of State.
Yeah.
I believe that he has that platform through which some of these things can be softly suggested to the president instead of overeating the politics.
No, I understand what you mean. But however, we've got about 30 seconds.
Okay.
So however you look at it,
Yes.
he did speak the truth.
Yes, he did. Well, INEC needs to be reformed, no doubt about that. You know, INEC refused to go digital. even though Vivas and the reading machines were purchased, but they rather go manual because of corruption. So INEC, no doubt, has to be reformed. There's no doubt about that. So I'm on that with Obasanjo.
And this country does not have a political future if you don't reform the electoral system.
We don't have political future because we have politicians who don't want to use the right numbers. People's votes are not being counted.
Yeah, and that's a very important point.
Very
and
important.
On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. Abba Kaka is a public policy analyst, and Dr. Taufeeq Raimi is a development expert and business and economic analyst, as well as a politician. Thank you very much indeed. That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Lagos, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.